We've all heard the phrase that nothing's new. So let me give you some context to that when we talk about initial coin offerings. Back in the 90s, we saw international travel and domestic travel fall off dramatically in the US. And the outstanding carrier of all the different American airlines was American Airlines. And it's been put down to the fact that American Airlines had a very, very successful air miles sort of loyalty flying scheme. And although people weren't going to travel, they actually had lots and lots of credits, lots and lots of air miles, and they were then going on holidays internally, taking vacations, because effectively they had free travel. And off the back of that, they were then buying drinks and food, and that actually helped American Airlines come through a fairly sort of patchy period for the whole of the airline industry. And indeed, we're seeing in the States, as you'll see on the chart here, that people like Gartner and Marketing Metrics and Bain showing the importance of looking after your existing clients. There's an old adage that 80% of your income, 80% of your profits, 80% of your hassle in running a business comes from 20% of your clients. And too often businesses are focused on, I've got to get a new client, I've got to find a new avenue, I've got to do something to get more business. Well, actually, if they stop that sort of hunter mentality and become a farmer, I look after existing clients, look after the people that you already got relations with, you're actually going to find it's far easier to convert an existing client that knows you and trusts you and use your product to do more with you if you can get their attention. So what on earth has all this got to do with initial coin offerings? Well, quite simply, initial coin offerings give the ability to have a digital loyalty scheme. So we've seen announcements from Singapore Airlines that are actually going to come out with a digital wallet. Well, what does that mean? Well, quite simply, it means that you'll be able to have, on your phone, the number of miles that you've done, and you'll be able to go into one of their affiliates and actually swap your miles for maybe drinks, maybe cosmetics, maybe food in the restaurant whilst you're waiting for the next plane to go. So if you then can convert that sort of air mile into something that you can spend, then you can start seeing some sort of exchangeability. But just turning back to the States, the whole reward and loyalty scheme, affiliate marketing, has become a very, very big industry. Indeed, the latest figures are showing that over $300 billion a year of loyalty schemes are actually handed out. Now, at one level, that sounds really, really interesting. And what we've actually seen in the UK is a good example. There's a chap called Keith Mills who's been tremendously successful and came up with the idea of air miles for a company called British Airways. He became so successful that he was the single biggest donor behind Britain's recent attempt to win the America's Cup back, finally from our American sort of friends across the pond, although now the Kiwis have got the America's Cup. So they've actually made a lot of money. So the more successful your affiliate and your marketing, your loyalty scheme becomes, the bigger your contingent liability comes for the company. So perversely, the more successful your marketing becomes and you get more people to do business with you, the smaller the valuation of the potential quoted company. So I think one of the innovations we're going to see with initial coin offerings is rather than building up this contingent liability and undermining the very value of the business by being successful marketing, actually move that liability. It's difficult to get rid of what you've got, but you don't need to make it bigger. And you actually set up an initial coin offering, and it's called a free airdrop. So actually they give away free tokens under an airdrop. So actually the idea of those tokens is to reward you. So how might that work in a practical sense? Well, let's just take Amazon or indeed Facebook. They can actually sell advertising revenue based on eyeballs, the amount of time that you spend looking at a screen, choosing a particular product to buy, looking at the pictures of your family and friends, because down the side you've got constant adverts going. And they can tell your socioeconomic group, they can tell very often your sex and age, etc., etc. So targeted advertising can be done, and the more time you spend, the more times they can actually sell advertising space. Now, many industries, the normal metric is about $100 to get a client. So do I, as the marketing executive of Coca-Cola, go and spend, I'm not sure what the up-to-date figures are for a 30-second advert for the American Super Bowl, but I'm talking about tens of millions, because I want to attract people to carry on using Coca-Cola? Or do I actually give away $80 worth of tokens to people that are actually engaging with me because I can actually get to them? because I know they're the people that like Coke as opposed to Pepsi. So I think we're going to see many, many more initial coin offerings to actually create that community, to create that glue that keeps people together. So like-minded people are actually using the products, the services that have emanated, that they're attracted to. And by using a digital loyalty scheme, such as a cryptocurrency, you can then not only use it within that product, you can then potentially exchange it with other cryptocurrencies that are being traded on a 24/7 basis. So you're not building up that contingent liability, but you are actually creating something of value to the very people that are actually using your product on an ongoing basis. So the days of going into a Starbucks cafe or a Nero or something like that and getting a stamp on a bit of paper, and then you lose it in your wallet or it gets put in the wash and things like that. No, how often do you actually encash it? You've now got something whereby it's very easy and very simple, and you can actually enjoy the benefits of the companies that you want, and they'll reward you because it's financially in their interest to reward you to retain and be a loyal customer.